Hi again, this is Arbitrage Junkie again, making my second video. Apologies for not making one sooner or posting recently. I've been pretty busy with a couple of things and all the nice weather, so I've been enjoying it a little bit. But for today, I wanted to do a quick run through of how I source for products and just my general process on it. So first off, I utilize SourceMogul as my main go-to. I know a lot of people prefer tactical arbitrage. My preference is SourceMogul for the user interface. I think tactical arbitrage actually has a lot of data that they include in the poll, in like everything that they pull from the retailers, that's useful if that's how you want to source. But my preference is SourceMogul because I utilize a lot of other resources for the data. And the user interface and kind of flow of the process, I think it's simpler with SourceMogul. Before I go into this is a little bit of I'll go through the step-by-step, but I'm not going to go through every piece of like what's involved in SourceMogul. I highly recommend that you follow the e-commerce mentor. It's e-commerce mentor. And he's got a video, if you look on his Instagram page, that goes into a lot of the details of all of the SourceMogul. So I recommend you do that if you're a little bit of a beginner. I'm kind of just going to talk you through my step-by-step. So first off, what I do is I go to the search page. You can either search by Amazon category or search by supplier. My recommendation, I usually use the search by supplier, but I have used search by Amazon category before, especially when there were the restrictions on the products that you could send throughout the COVID-19 shutdown. So I was utilizing this quite frequently to make sure during the COVID-19 shutdown that I was only searching for categories. You can see here it's by category. I was only searching for categories that I could actually ship into Amazon. So that's like the health and household, the pet products, the grocery, and stuff like that. So you can just search by an entire category and then search all the retailers within their database. The nice part about that is if you don't know the retailers yet that you should be searching for, you can search a category that maybe you're more ungated on, and then find out even some retailers that maybe you didn't know already that have those kind of products. So anyway, so I use the search by supplier most of the time. So you can see here, there are multiple different stores that you can shop from. And if you you can scroll down here. I think there's like 300 different retailers that you can set this up for. So I'll just do an example of let's just take Office Depot. So you just click on Office Depot. This is the same way that it works for the search by category as well. You just click on the category. It comes up in your selected suppliers. You could put on a discount code or a shipping cost, but to be honest, of course I look for all the discount codes and utilize Retail Me Not and Top Cash Back and Cashback Monitor and all those sites and credit card rewards. But I like to utilize that as just upside to my margin. So instead of actually plugging it in here. So, and I kind of just calculate that in my head if I need to. So anyways, then we have Office Depot. You could add multiple ones. I've never actually seen a cap. It just takes longer. So you hit the start search. So then you can see here, I have a couple searches down there that are finished. It's going to start the search. It has 51,000 products that it's analyzing. That is one nice thing that, as you're scrolling through and deciding retailers, if you're on the search page, you can actually scroll through and it says how many products to scan. So, if you're scanning only 2,000 products, you're probably not going to find as many that fit your thresholds. But if you're scanning, like a brand that has a lot more products, let's find one. A Walmart probably has 200,000 or something like that. You're probably going to find a lot more products that will hit your threshold. So then going back to the results, it depends on going back to the status. It depends on how many products it's scanning for how much time it will take. But I would say and also some days it's slower than others, but I would say in general, it probably takes 5 to 10 minutes per retailer that you scan through. The bigger ones might take 15 to 20 or a little bit longer. So once it's done scanning, you can see here I have a Big Bad Toy Store and a Big Lots that finished. If you can click the view the results if you want to just look at that scan, or you can just go to the results page and you can see all the results of all the scans that you've done. So I'm just going to go to results. Honestly, this is usually what I do, and in my process is I usually kick off 10, 15 retailers that I want to look through, and then I kick off my results. So now you have all these thresholds that you can apply. So I generally, ROI, so all of these thresholds are based on, I think you should base them on how much money you have to invest and how many products you want to find. Now there needs to be a minimum ROI threshold, because obviously if you're not making any money on it, and you have to make sure that you're incorporating your shipping costs to Amazon, returns and all the other factors that go into your expenses that might not be factored into just the buy cost of the product. But so there has to be a minimum, but I feel I think you could probably still make money if your ROI threshold was 40%. But if you put your ROI threshold at 40%, you're going to get a lot of products, and likely, especially if you're a beginner, you probably don't have the budget to spend on all those products. So why wouldn't you put your filter at a higher ROI? At this point, I usually put my filter at somewhere, dependent on the retailer discounts that I'm getting, usually somewhere between 60 and 80% per retailer. So let's just put it on 70% there. I usually make sure that I have a profit of at least $5. Usually I just put it on $5. And I've heard a lot of Instagram discussion on this about, what's the minimum retail that you should be sending that you should be buying a product for. And a lot of people are oh, you shouldn't buy anything under $10 or something like that. Well, I haven't had a ton of success on things under $10. I have found some products where I've made some money on them, where I bought them for $1 or $2 and I sold them for 10, and then FBA fees were $5 and I still made $2 or $3 on that. So I still think that's a benefit. So I like to keep my profit at $5, because there are a lot of products within there that you can make a $5 profit and make a lot of money. I think the reason I don't go below $5 is because there are a lot of expenses and variables that you aren't factoring in. So if you go below $5, that puts a little bit of more risk on having to sell your product at cost or below cost. So then on the right here, you have remove products without a buy box, only show products that are merchant fulfilled, and remove products that have no category. I actually don't check any of these. I've had quite a lot of success with products that don't have a buy box, and so I'd rather leave that wide open. Then you get to choose percentage or numbers. Again, this is very similar to the ROI threshold of how much money do you have to spend? What's your budget? And then also, how quickly do you want to turn your store? So just like my first video, I walked you through, when you're setting up your business model, you have to think about what's my ROI going to be combined with how quickly do I want to turn my products? So do you want a higher ROI and you turn your products a little bit slower, or are you okay with a lower ROI? But then my recommendation would be you should turn your products a little bit faster, and just that equation kind of gets you to what your total profit is going to be. So with here, you can either choose percentage or numbers. To be honest, I do this a little bit differently by category. So, but I think my default mechanism is usually utilizing percentage. SourceMogul defaults to top 15% or better. 15% is a lot of product. You're gonna find products that hardly even sell if you use this as your threshold. I usually take this to top 1% or 2%. Sometimes 3%, but dependent on the category and dependent on my budget for that day or that week, to just ensure, because the higher percentage, the quicker it's going to sell. So, and you don't want to, especially with these new IPI thresholds that Amazon's put on, you don't want to buy products that are really, really that are going to be really slow and sit in your inventory for 6 months. I usually try to buy product that I think I'm going to sell out of within 30 to 60 days. And if it goes over 90, that was probably a bad buy. So, and then you also can do numbers. This is after you get a feel for a product category and how much they sell. On some product categories, I would say, again, 1,500,000 is way too high. I think I like to utilize this for categories like books. Sometimes if you put even a top, there's so many books in Amazon's catalog that sometimes if you put a top 1% as the threshold for books, you're going to get a lot of books in there that might sit in your inventory for a year. So I've just, after getting a feel for how books sell, which I'll go in a little bit into that in a second on how you can find that out. But I usually for books, I'll say top 500,000 is what it should be, because I found that if a book is, I think a lot of people use 1 million as their book filter, but I found that if I buy a book that's 1 million, it usually sits in my inventory for longer than I want it. So I usually do 500,000, and sometimes I'll settle for a book that's ranked 700,000 or something like that, but usually want to beat 500,000. So then you have this match rate accuracy, which I think this is all dependent on how much work you want to put into this. I usually just leave it at the default, which is right here, which is pretty high. So it filters out things that are not are not going to be a match. But no matter what your match rate accuracy is, you're still going to have to do you have to have some human intervention on the filters, just because I don't think there's any systemic software that would filter everything perfectly when it's going through this many different ASINs. So anyways, then you come down here and you have your filters. Usually what I do is I just select the search that I've done. So let's just see. So the Office Depot search just finished 6 minutes ago. So you can see here, it's going to pop up, and here's Office Depot. When I was during the COVID-19 shutdown, when there were product restrictions, I would go to select category. So anyways, so now this brings up all of my products. I already set my filters. Oh, but for Office Depot, because this is office supplies, I'm probably just going to set this to let's just set it to 3% and see what that comes up with. So top 3%. And then, so another good thing here is if, I know this is Office Depot, so there's going to be a lot of office products. So it's good to get a feel for what rank is good for an office product, because you can see there's a quick keep a chart here that SourceMogul shows you. So right now, I don't buy a ton of office products. I think some people do, but I don't really have a familiarity with is 2,000 to 4,000 sales rank, which you can see right here in the little keep a chart. Is basically what this printer is going for. Is 2,000 to 4,000 sales rank a good sales rank for this price that it's selling at $138? So the tool I like to use is the Jungle Scout Amazon Sales Estimator, which is literally just www.junglescout.com/estimator. All you have to do is click your marketplace. So I'm in the United States, enter the rank. So usually I go with a little bit higher than the rank, just so that I can know worst case scenario if this drops off. And then let's see, I don't know why it's not typing. Office Usually you can type it in, but I guess I'm just selecting it this time. Office products, here we go. So at 5,000, and then you just click calculate sales. So at 5,000 in office products, it sells $11.40 a month. That's a lot, especially if you don't have a lot of competition. So, and usually, honestly, I'm okay with the estimated sales per month is all dependent, like what I'm okay with is all dependent on the competition that I have. So if there's a lot of competition, I want a higher estimated sales per month to jump in on that listing. But if it's only me or like there's two of us, I probably would buy a product that only has 30 sales per month. So now jumping back to the SourceMogul screen. So let's just check out, oh, actually, before I check out this product, let me just show you a couple other things that are cool on the, oh, no, actually, that's the next step. I'm getting ahead of myself. So first things on the wish list, or on the results before you get to the wish list page, I mean, usually what I just do is I go through the results page and I add to the wish list if I think that it's, that it could be a possibility. I haven't actually checked anything, but sometimes there are just things that you can clearly see are not possibilities. Like if something comes up that at Amazon is a 4-pack, but in the description on the retailer it's not, like, and you just should delete that. So you can either delete here or delete and just delete up in the trash can. So anyways, so like first things first, we have this electronics thing. I don't know for electronics. So electronics at like a 10,000, I'd probably go to my sales estimator. It looked like it was 10,000 to 25,000. So let's go to electronics. I don't know why it's not letting me type in right now. And so for electronics, calculate sales. So 5,000 is obviously too high. That wasn't the rank. Let's go to 25,000. So that's 60. That's pretty good. I'll take it. So now you click on. So I would actually just add this to my wish list because I'm okay with that. That's just the first step of the process. Is just a quick filter on my end of do I think it might sell. So then I go to this KNN. We already checked this. This seems fine. $49.99 for 138. I'm fine with that. Add to wish list. So now I can go to my wish list, and these two products should be up there, and you can see they are at the top. So what I usually do, and I've already kicked this off, so I won't be able to do it right now, but I usually click. You can check for restrictions for your entire wish list, and then you can check for retailer stock availability. So you can see I actually have 278 SKUs that I have to go through in my wish list right now. So that's a lot, but fortunately, usually I can rule out like a quarter of them by just checking for the product restrictions. So, and then you can just delete restricted products up here. So, and then once that comes through, I just delete them. So now what I do is I usually go into a little bit more of a detailed view of this before I want to add it to the buy box or remove it. So what I do is I click on it for Office Depot, because sometimes even though usually if something's out of stock, it'll come up here and say that it's out of stock. So you can see like here for this product, it's out of stock. So I would just delete that because that obviously is out of stock, but sometimes that filter system is not perfect. So I always go to the retailer first to check. So like you can see on this one, it actually says out of stock for delivery. So that obviously does not work. So that's always my first checkpoint when I come here. Like there's no point in wasting any more time on this product. It's out of stock. So then let's check this one. Check if it's in stock. Oh, that one's out of stock for delivery too. So that I also would just immediately delete, but I'm just going to use this one as an example in the case that it was in stock, because a lot of stuff you will find that are in stock. But anyway, so this is selling for $49.99 at Office Depot. Let's go to Amazon. So now on Amazon, you can you pull it up. The first things that I look at, I like to check. So I have Rev Seller up here. You can see I usually just glance at Rev Seller. I don't use it in a lot of detail. My preference is to go like straight to the Keepa chart. So this is where I'm assuming most of you are familiar with Keepa. So you can actually see if this product was in stock. It's been, even Amazon's been selling it for $49.99. So we're buying it for $49.99. This was months ago. So there is a risk that Amazon could hop back on this listing, sell it at $49.99, and we may, for months on end, either sit on the inventory or need to sell it for $49.99 and just lose a little bit of money on it, which would not be ideal. But it does look like Amazon's been out of stock since March. So this could be a possible item to take a risk on, which I will say I have taken risks on some Amazon items that go out of stock and had some great success on some of them, and then others where I had to basically sell at cost or slightly below cost. So it's a little bit of hit or miss, but if you find the ones that are successful and continually buy into them until they aren't successful anymore, you can offset any of your misses. So that's a huge opportunity. And then you can see, so March, Amazon was going in and out of stock on it. You can see through this pink line. I can send a video. I can do a video later that goes into a little bit more detail on what I look at on Keepa charts, but that's not the purpose of this video right now. But then a lot of people started selling it for like $150, $149, and so like this looks like over the last 2-3 months, there's a lot of opportunity to sell it at $150, which would be an appropriate ROI to make some money on it, which would be great. So now, the Instagram account, Mook Resells, actually recently told me about this Count Stock Chrome extension, which is, I love it. I think this is the best inventory counting extension that I've seen yet. So this is great. And so you just click on this button to see what your competition looks like. So you can see here, there's only, so because there's an asterisk there, that means that they have a restriction on the amount that you can buy. So you can only buy one at a time or two at a time. So we don't actually know how much inventory these two people have, but it looks like there isn't like a ton of inventory in the, like below the, well, obviously none below the 138 range, but like there aren't a lot of people sitting on a ton of inventory. So if this was in stock, and you're ungated in this would be a pretty good opportunity to buy. So my next step within SourceMogul, after that, the other step that you have to check. So let me go back to Amazon. Is I have the Scan Unlimited extension as well, which is free. So Count Stock and Scan Unlimited are both free extensions, and let's see, it should pop up here soon. So right next to, I think it's right next to the brand, Scan Unlimited gives you like a question mark, or it'll be like a yellow triangle with an exclamation mark in it if there have been IP complaints against that brand in the past. So this is something that I like to check. I don't want to buy the product if there have been IP complaints. I've had a few IP complaints, not a lot in the past, but like the last thing I would want to do is have my account suspended by Amazon. There's just, way too much risk in the amount of inventory that I own. So I avoid those products across the board. So this one has a question mark. So that means that nobody has actually reported that brand as giving IP complaints in the past. So that's a good sign that you probably won't get an IP complaint on it. It's not perfect, but that's usually my process. So then if this was in stock, I would add this to my buy list, which then there's another feature over here of the buy list. So I'm not going to click on it because you'll see all the products that I'm buying right now. And those are like, a lot of those are replenishables and things like that. But usually I would just add that to my buy list. And then I have a process where every day I pull up my buy list and I actually replenish into my replenishables every single day. I review the sales from the last couple of days. I also like a lot of times, so this might be a product that I'll add to my buy list, even though it's out of stock, so that then I can check to see when it's going in stock. Like, or if it's coming back in stock, because like clearly if this product was in stock, I could make some money on it. So with that, just to give a little bit of a timing thing, because I think that's something that probably prevents or stops a lot of sellers from actually starting their business, because this is, although this is some great software, this takes a lot of time, and I probably spend like, I'd say 6 to 8 hours a week sourcing through products. Like this 300 ASINs is I probably do that 2 or 3 times a week, where I go through 300. So I'm probably checking 1,000 plus SKUs in my wish list a week. So in going through that whole process of clicking on, is it in stock? Clicking on Amazon, if it's a category I'm not familiar with, going to the Jungle Scout sales estimator and checking on that. So this takes some time, and then in addition to that, I'm going to my buy list and replenishing my replenishables like every day, if not twice a day. And that takes probably like an hour or so a day. So this takes some time, and honestly, you might go through 1,000 ASINs and find like 4 or 5, and if you find 4 or 5 that are replenishable and have a good ROI and are going to sell quick, like that's a good find, but it might take you 8 hours to find those 4 or 5. So especially if you have the right filters and as you do it. So I think it takes some time, and you get better at it, and understanding when you need to look at as you practice at it. So I hope you found this video helpful, and I hope there are some nuggets in here that are helpful and that you can utilize for your sourcing. I use this for all online arbitrage right now. I think there are some wholesale features that you can use it for. I haven't even tried those out yet, so I don't know. I'm all online arbitrage. I kind of want to get into wholesale shortly, but I have not taken the steps yet to do that. So yeah, hope you found this video helpful, and I hope to have more in the future. Bye.